Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Fernando.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Today we have a car. It's the easiest way to say it. I know, right? Actually, it's a very special install. We're really excited about doing it, and let me tell you why. So as you guys know, we do a ton of Jeep Wranglers. But this year, Rockford decided to do something a little different. They actually invited us out to SEMA to take part in it, which was really cool. And it's this guy right here, this giant stack of boxes. As you can see, they're giant. I mean, he's like 6'2". Look how big these are. So inside of these two boxes here is something awesome that this industry is, well, it's kind of a first. And that is a fully complete, end-to-end, start-to-finish, front-to-back plug-and-play system. And I know what you're saying, there has been plug-and-play stuff before, but nothing quite to the extent that Rockford went on that. If you've ever worked on a Jeep before, you know you gotta cut in the speakers in the top, and well, you don't have to do that on this. They can actually give you a brand new sound bar. Everything that needs to be replaced so that this can go back to factory, with the exception of like one thing, is in this box. And what I mean by that one thing, which we'll show you a little bit later, has to do with the cigarette lighter and the bass knob, which is one of the coolest features about this. But there's even a piece to make that painless and fun. It comes with a DSP, but you don't have to tune the DSP. Rockford has already done it. So it just plugs in, and that's it. Automatically knows what car it's in, and if there might be some like turn on and off things you have to do with the car. But other than that, there's no tuning or anything. It's pretty amazing. And it is definitely the future of what Rockford thinks these things should be, is that they can just sell you this box, you can put it into the car. That's where the fun comes in, because it's gonna be a pain to put this thing in. There is a lot of stuff that has to come out. The average install time on one of these is 8 hours. They do have a nice video on how they do it. And today we're gonna show you how we're gonna do it. So that'd be pretty fun, right? We'll show you some of the things that, well, you know, as somebody that does this for a living, might save you some time and or, you know, like I don't have to take that apart kind of thing. I don't know. Either way, we're gonna hop into it and get started. You ready, Fernando?
I'm ready, man.
All right, well, let's open these boxes up and kind of take a look at what we have and what we're gonna need. First thing that you need to know before you order your kit for the Wrangler, not the Gladiator. Gladiator is pretty simple. It's one kit, fits all, and life is good. In the Wrangler, it may have this guy here because it's an amplified system. If it has this panel in the back, there is one optional thing you have to buy that does not come in the kit, and that is this right here. The Jeep Wrangler trim kit. This is a replica of factory piece that would be there if it wasn't the upgraded audio system. Keep that in mind when you are ordering the kit, because that would suck if you forget it. Aside from that, you have this giant box here, which is the whole system. Subwoofer enclosures, the whole 9 yards is all tucked into there, really nice. Let's open it up and see how they did that. Now this box is heavy, so make sure you do that whole team lift thing. And it's double boxed. And also, just so you know, when this does come shipped to you, it comes on a pallet. Woo! That's pretty cool. Everything comes nicely laid out. So starting in the top left corner, we have various screws and brackets. Fuse holder bracket, bass knob, cigarette lighter relocation, DSP, basically a locked DSR1. It is not anything you need to pair to flash or do anything. T-harnesses, amplifiers, already mounted on the amp rack, all set, ready to go. And I'm assuming this is the instructions. Probably just says go out to our website and look at our video. Really nice. I like that everything is in its own little hole so that it won't get lost. Ooh, look at this. Check this out. So the next layer reveals the left and right subwoofer and the left and right front speaker pods. Everything is already bolted into place, so there's no assembly required, so to speak. There again, it's in its own nice little pocket. Yeah. And then buried underneath the subwoofers is this guy right here, the new sound bar. For those of you at home that aren't familiar with the interior of a Jeep Wrangler, you may be thinking about getting one, or you just like watching because it's a lot of fun. Let's take a look and see what this guy has in it and how it is going to be modified. So starting with the back, as we told you earlier, this piece is going to come out. It's going to get replaced with one of those subwoofers that we just unboxed. The second one is going to go over here. So this whole piece here will come off and the new sub will go in there. So we'll have a sub here, we'll have a sub here. Up top, we have this sound bar. That sound bar is going to come out, unplug, and the new one is going to go up in its place. Now, if you've ever done one of these, you know that you got to pull this piece off here, you got to cut this out, and Rockford didn't want to do that. Plus, these things tend to buzz and rattle because they're just made out of chintzy, thin plastic. So Rockford's is much more robust, more thick, more ready to handle the amount of abuse that we know you're gonna put on it. Now the hard part in this, is this dash. This dash sucks. It is a pain in the butt to get this guy out here and that guy out there, which are the factory speaker pod. Each one of these has a 4-inch speaker in it. That's gonna come out. A 6.5 is gonna go in its place. These are actually the easiest part. These pop off and we put new tweeters up in the top here. Life is good. Also, this seat is gonna have to bolt and come up because the bracket for the amplifier is designed to go up underneath here. And then the DSP actually goes where the factory amplifier is, which is up and behind this speaker. So we can't get to that until we pull that out. Now, as I said, this whole system is designed around the concept of plug and play. However, a lot of disassembly and reassembly is required. Pretty cool. Now that we have an idea of what it is, let's double check those instructions, see what it has to say, and then we'll get started on disassembling this thing and getting it installed and put back together. Let me preface this right away by saying, if you would like the official instructions for this, I will put a link to it in the description for this video so you can go over and watch it on Rockford's. Or when you get the system, on the side of the box right here, it has the QR code so you can go and immediately take a look at it for your installation. Now, the things we're gonna do here today are gonna be our way of doing it, meaning this is how we wanna install it. The first thing we're gonna do in this is remove the sound bar. Our thought on this is we want to be able to put things in, put stuff back together, and minimize the amount of pieces we have laying around. That is get rid of the biggest thing that we have, which are going to be the sound bar, subwoofers, amplifiers, and stuff like that, and then we'll work our way to the front of the car. To get that sound bar out, get yourself a bin to put screws in. It's a Torx, so you're gonna need some Torxes. First step to get this sound bar out is to remove the light here in the center. Use a small panel tool. Get up inside there, pop it down, put it into your parts bin. First thing to come off after that is this rail here. You're gonna just work your way around, removing basically the whole top apparatus. Now, naturally, no install is complete without some right away. Rockford tells you that this top has to at least come up so you can get to the screws and get to the soundbar to make life easy. In most cases, that's not a big deal because those of you guys that have Jeeps or seen Jeeps, you know the tops come off like, yay. This one, however, has the new
Sky One Touch rooftop.
And to say that doesn't suck, it's the coolest thing ever. It is. It's so neat. It's like this cool retractable top here. It's awesome. However, it makes this install that much more tricky because these runners, which are basically part of the car, need to come up. And it's not the funnest thing to do. It's actually kind of scary, which, you know, hey, I love that. To get it out is very specific. An Allen key is ideal. This one just happens to be a 5mm. An impact wrench is desired because these things are Loctited in. And as you can see, they're all different. That is important when taking it apart, is to remember which way they go. These are laid out from back of the car to front of the car. So if you get these wrong, well, bad things could happen. These two are the rear, middle, and these two are the front. You see it's shorter. Then there's also these little guys here, which are some Torx that go in the very front. This part of the car, these bolts that are here, they don't need to come out. It's actually two pieces. It's made to come apart separately, thank goodness, because this thing is heavy. They don't need to remove it. We actually just took some of the foam that comes in the box and we've raised it up enough. And the whole purpose for that is there's screws that are here on this side and they're impossible to get to with this sitting on top of it. That means that this has to come up some. It is very nerve-wracking for sure because, like, who uses a 4-inch bolt? And without knowing that, then yeah. So now you guys know that if you have the coolest top ever for a Jeep. The other thing that we're doing, because there's a ton of screws on the right and a ton of screws on the left, is that we're using two bins. So there's a left bin, there's a right bin, and that just makes things a little bit easier to get off. Now, as you can see, Fernando's order removed this bracket here, this bracket here. And the nice thing about the Jeep is that you can see all the screws. It's not like it's a mystery. There's no hidden screws anywhere. When you're looking on here, we've all seen them, those Torx screws that go along here. You're just removing those, then the panels come off. To do that, as you can see, we like to use our cool red pry tool a little bit, just a push. Wiggle it out. What you're looking at that's actually holding it on after you get the screws out is this one metal bracket here, and then in the end it does, you know, wiggle into the A-pillar. And with those off, you can kind of see how it starts to expose what we need to get to, which is these pieces here. This is what it looks like with all the plastic off. There's 6 10mm bolts that you need to remove in order to get this out. And in case you're wondering, like, wow, that was a lot of screws to get to just the soundbar, that's why this has an 8-hour install time. It's not that it's particularly hard, it's just that there is a lot of screws that we're gonna be taking out of this thing. We haven't even gotten to the dash yet, which is like 100 times more screws than this. As you can see, it's already just a lot of work. There we go. We got it out. It is not a bazooka. Taking a look at the factory, which is here, this has a 4, this has a 3. This just has a big 6.5, but it's the fit and finish that I know most people are gonna be worried about. Does this look strangely aftermarket? And no, if you look at here, the grill, and you look at this grill here, this is a smaller version of this, but it's still the same pattern. So this is still gonna match the front. There's a ton of silver trim throughout the vehicle. So the silver trim works. It is just more robust. As far as weight goes, because you like lift this up and you're like, holy crap, this thing is floating, and this thing is a little heavier. How is this more robust? These speakers are lighter. They use neo-magnets. The speaker itself is lighter than these 2 speakers here, where most of the weight is coming from. Is you have 4 standard magnet speakers in here. It gets kind of heavy, but this, you can just tap on it. This feels better, a little bit more rigid. Fit and finish wise, these are awesome. To get this back in, the first thing we want to do is replace those 6 10mm bolts back into place. And now the question is, do we put all the pieces for the top back on? And the answer to that is
yes, because we done.
Man of many words. We're not gonna need these pieces off to do the rest of the installation. Let me help Fernando hold that thing up in place. To put this up, 2 people is a really good job. You can do it by yourself, but it's a pain. The reason why is that in each corner of this, there's a pin that needs to line up to get it right. And of course the pin is right on, like there's not a lot of wiggle room for it. If you like put one side on to, you know, hand tighten it and then slide it over and do the other side, it does help if you have somebody here in the middle to push it up. Once you get to that point, start with the outside, move your way to the center to screw it in. We've already got the outside bolts in. And remember, this thing is plastic, so don't go too tight, you know, just like, nice tightness is good. Put all the pins back into the ceiling, and that's it. Next thing we're gonna do is get these side rails put back on. One thing you'll notice too is all along these trim panels, there's usually a long leg that sticks out that goes into a hole to help it line up. So if you're having a hard time getting it to go up, don't force it. Find the hole and just, you know, wiggle it around, pull it down, put a light in there until you get to the hole that it needs to be in. Soundbar's back in, all put back together. All the pieces are done. The top is secured into place. It's as scary to put it back together it is to take it apart, not gonna lie. Like those bolts and like, when you're putting it back together, impact or wrench, whatever you're gonna use, electrical, till it's like about 1/8 of an inch before all the way, and then do the last few twists by hand. It's a fiberglass top. It's screwed into fiberglass. If you go crazy like, you're going to break it. We don't wanna break it. It's very expensive.